Hi everyone, this is Derek Cain. I'm doing a video book review on a Reformation debate, Sadoleto's letter to the Genevans and Calvin's reply. It has an appendix with the justification controversy. It is edited by John C. Olin. It's copyrighted 1966 and 2000 by John C. Olin. And this editor, Olin, who we'll call that for the rest of this video, has a great introduction, a very fair and balanced beginning to the book, but you're probably not going to hear much, well, you won't hear much from him after the introduction, because the rest of the book is a reprint of these letters from Sadoleto, Cardinal Sadoleto, and John Calvin. There's not much more that the editor provides other than that. The letters are about 65 pages, so both can be read in one sitting. And then there's this appendix, or these appendices. One is Calvin's argument on justification by faith alone, and the other is from the Council of Trent, their response to the Protestant Reformation and sola fide. So the figures, of course, in this book are Cardinal Sadoleto, and Olin gives a great introduction to him at the beginning of the book. And I feel that Sadoleto may have had some Reformation sympathies, and that he had only the most honest motives in writing this letter to the Genevans. Although there are some people who believe that maybe he had other motives, or at least his motives were mixed, influencing him to write this letter to the Genevans at this time, because at this time the Genevans didn't have a theological ruler. They were kind of in between theologies, I suppose, at the moment, and he wrote this letter to convince them to come back to the fold. But there are some who think that maybe he had some more mixed motives, and maybe there are other people involved in prompting him to write this letter to the Genevans. But I'll err on the side of giving Sadoleto the benefit of the doubt and believe his stated intentions and motives in writing this letter, that he did want to encourage the Genevans to come back to the fold. The other piece of this is that Sadoleto doesn't reply back after Calvin's reply. Sadoleto writes the first letter, and then Calvin writes a reply. That's it. Maybe Calvin's response moved Sadoleto so that he didn't have a response. I don't know. But how did these two men come to write these letters? The year is 1539, and Cardinal Sadoleto heard that Calvin was excused or dismissed from Geneva for some other reasons that we don't have time to go into. And so he writes to encourage the municipal leaders in Geneva to return to the Roman Catholic fold. And so Sadoleto's letter gives you a Roman Catholic perspective of the causes and reasons for the Reformation. He offers a very thoughtful and extensive insight into the Roman Catholic ideas of salvation and religious authority and the nature of the church. And one of the things that struck me over and over again was the language about how the church was mother. And you could see, or not see, but you could sense how grieved Sadoleto was that the children of this mother, the mother church, were seemingly rejecting her. And you could really sense that grief. Now, because Geneva had too quickly gotten rid of their theologian in residence, who was Calvin, he had been in Geneva for some time, and then he, as I said, was kicked out or left for some time. They asked him to come back to respond to this letter that the municipal leaders had received from Cardinal Sadoleto. And so Calvin writes this great reply. He responds to all the charges that Cardinal Sadoleto brings. He counters those positions. He gives a clear defense of the Reformation. John Calvin's letter is much longer than Cardinal Sadoleto's letter, and so he sort of had the benefit of going second. maybe at this point I'm wishing that I had the benefit of going second in this video book review project, but hopefully everyone will be able to learn from my mistakes in this first video book review, and maybe yours will all be much longer and much better than this. I hope so. But again, John Calvin's letter was much longer. It was twice as long as Cardinal Sadoletto's letter, and he does a great job of countering all these arguments from Sadoletto. The appendix at the end of the book, after these two letters that John Olin puts in, adds some material covering the doctrine of justification. There are these key sections from Calvin's writings on justification that comes from his Institutes of the Christian Religion, but there's no editorial commentary from Olin. And then there are sections from the Council of Trent, the Roman Catholic Church's rebuttal to the Reformed doctrine of justification. But again, there's no editorial material, nothing else from Olin. I enjoyed the book. It's a great primary source material. This is the letters between Sadoletto and Calvin are the raw dialogue that they share. And so it's great source material. That's what, in these letters, that's what the Reformation was all about. There is beauty and merit in just that simple raw dialogue and this primary source material, these opinions, these ideas and thoughts and positions of these two men who were present during the Reformation and were primary or big figures. Although Sadoletto, I had never heard of Sadoletto until I read this book, but of course John Calvin, these are his words, and at this time, written directly in response to the Roman Catholic side of things from Cardinal Sadoletto. So as for source material, they're great. It's wonderful. But if you're looking for more of an editorial explanation of the issues of the Reformation, this resource is not for you. I wish I'm a little more keen on having some editorial handholding as I read source material that I'm not familiar with or I have no context for. I wish that Olin had provided more of that in this book. But the only thing that we have from Olin is the introduction, which is great. It provided a lot of background information on John Calvin, historically, where he was before Geneva, when he came to Geneva the first time, why he was kicked out, and then, of course, his return and his eventual affinity for Geneva. And then you also have this great background and history of Cardinal Sadoletto, which I thought was really great and kind of warmed me up to him, knowing his background a little better. But that's all that we have from the editor. And again, like I said, I wish that there was more editorial content in this book. So again, I would recommend reading A Reformation Debate edited by John C. Olin for direct and primary source material from the Reformation. However, if you're looking for more editorial content, this is probably not that resource. Again, I wish that there was more from Olin other than the introduction, even though it was great. So again, this is Derek Cain, and this has been a video book review of A Reformation Debate, Sadoletto's letter to the Genevans, and Calvin's reply that was edited by John C. Olin.